Hi guys, my week 2 presentation is here. This past week I learned about supercompensation and I measured a whole bunch of food and it was quite the tedious experience, but I'm going to tell you what I learned from it. Supercompensation. Simon kind of brushed on it briefly last week, but I'm going to kind of recap it again to let you know that I understand it. Imagine we have a base level. That's our overall fitness. That's our level of fitness right now. When we train, we have a decline. We go downhill. And that's when we bottom out. That's when our body is broken up. The heart rate has increased. We're tired out. Afterwards, it is very important to recover. Give yourself an adequate amount of time to recover. On our way up, when we recover, our bodies want to get used to that previous workout we did. In anticipation for that, it goes into an interval or a phase called supercompensation. When we're in supercompensation, our abilities are increased. It is very important to train when you are in those certain windows of supercompensation. Then we decline and then we go back up, and eventually we'll find a good rhythm of where we train, we rest, we train, we rest. Training like this will help you greatly improve your results. Because if you find the correct training interval of training in supercompensation, then resting, training in supercompensation, then resting, that's ultimately what you're going to need to do in order to improve the quality of your training. If you are messed up with your intervals, maybe you train down, you don't wait for this supercompensation, you never get to that base fitness line, you go down, then your body will fatigue and ultimately you will be making no progress in your workouts. Circling back to training in the correct intervals, it is very important that you maintain a strict training routine if you desire to continue to make gains and not flatline. If you stop exercising, then everything will be lost eventually. After about 10 days or so of exercise, you will lose strength, you'll lose endurance, and you'll basically have to build up from fallen ground. As a professional disc golfer getting enlightened on the daily, I am noticing that it is important not to just only play disc golf. Because if I only play disc golf, then my body's going to adapt for that and I'm not going to reach my peak potential. So it is very important that when I'm on tour this year, that I find time to train at a high intensity, incorporating disc golf, but other movements such as strength training, endurance, and other things. That is what ultimately is going to increase my peak potential and make me become the player I want to be.
Measuring macros. This task was kind of challenging at first to get the hang of it. I chose to use a spreadsheet so it was easy for me to keep track of all the grams of the amount of food I ate, fat, carbs, sugar, and protein. Originally, we were supposed to do this task up until Friday, but with some Simon complaining, we ended up only doing it 3 days. But in the time I did spend doing this task, I did learn some valuable information.
Day 1, or first meal of calorie counting, and it's a real pain. I gotta do this for a week. Oh my god. So far, I got breakfast. I'm realizing that it is just a lot of work to write things down. This information will be very, very good.
Right off the bat, making totals every day kind of made me realize where I'm eating the correct portion of carbs, proteins, and fats, and where I'm kind of slipping up.
Looking back on the challenge, I'd say probably the biggest thing I learned from it is to make sure you know what is going into your food. Because even if it seems healthy, it could mean that there's a lot of fat, a lot of carbs, or maybe too little protein. So it's really important that you always make sure what you're putting into your body. I probably won't do this ever again because it was extremely tedious, but I am very happy that I did do it just to learn this information. Yeah, that's week 2 presentation done. Yes.